Well, even back in those days, I would assume that your grandfather, in addition to working the farm, also worked in the shanty and in the logging.
Not my grandfather. So far as I know, from the time he was married, he worked on his own. And after he came to Marwatson, he certainly didn't, for he had too many irons in the fire then.
Yeah, which were the farm. I gather that he homesteaded that.
Well, he had
Oh no, he bought it from the French chap. I forget
yes,
his name.
Lapine.
Lapine, and then he built it up, I assume.
Yes, he built it up, and he started the store, and he built the sawmill.
That sawmill was on the Colton Creek, is that right?
No, it wasn't. It was on the creek from running down from Edge Lake.
Something I've always heard them talk about, Strong's Mill. I've never had seen that.
I used to think it was on the Colton Creek, and but I seen the site of it a few years ago when I was hunting a stenographer.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Was there anything left of the old mill?
No, there was nothing there, but I was with Barney Snyder, and he showed me where it was. Where that showed it to him. We couldn't see. I didn't see any sign of anything that would.
Not even a mill pond.
No.
Nothing left of that
No.
at all. It was a water-driven mill.
Yes. Water power, and upright.
An upright saw.
Yes.
Well, back in those days, this was just sawing it for local.
Oh yes, just for local use. For it was custom saw. He done custom sawing, but it was for just for the settlers. Well, at that time, you couldn't commence to haul lumber out economically. It was cheaper to drive the logs down the river.
Well, did he run that just in the family, or did he have a crew that ran it, or?
You could run that with one man.
Set it up and let it run.
Well, it didn't. It wasn't a fast outfit. There was only the one saw in the whole thing, and you could, if you had a bunch of logs on the skidway within reasonable distance, you could put a log on there, and dog it. You started going. Started your carriage going, and each time it took about each stroke it cut about 2 inches.
What would propel that carriage?
Well, each time as it kept going, it kept dogging the carriage.
Oh, it dogged the carriage ahead just with a sort of a ratchet?
Yes. The saw itself took about 2 inches on each stroke. The saw was set on a bit of an angle so that the first tooth that caught was it got probably a quarter of an inch. The next one the same, and
it wouldn't be a straight saw either, would it? Be
yes, it was a straight saw.
Straight saw.
Yes. But the saw was set, the bottom of the saw was set farther away from the carriage than the top of it. Each stroke, it would make probably 8, 10, or 12 cuts.
Well, then would they turn these over and edge them?
When it was coming near the end of the log, when I started the log on, I let it run until it got to within about 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches of the end of the log. Then they reversed the carriage and dogged it over and took another cut. and they'd cut the whole they'd have it all cut up. They would, of course, would square the log first
Yeah.
to start with, and then they would have it all cut up, and whatever, then whatever edging had to be done, they just turned the whole thing down on the carriage, and they edged all the boards at the same time. That was all the machinery there was to it. Was the wheels, and it operated the saw, and the saw itself, the same equipment, framework that that held the saw also operated the ratchet.
Mm-hmm.
That
Advanced
as the
carriage.
saw came back, it advanced the
Carriage.
yes.
in order to-
No, well, they had a fair mill pond,
Probably.
and of course they could run it with a small gang like that, with one or two men. They could operate it for say a couple of hours, and then take the lumber out and get more logs rolled in and so on,
Yeah.
while the pond was filling up again.
Yeah.